Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey!
Yes. I see that you have a note. Does that note say idea on it?
It does.
Okay.
Ideas.
Open it up and read it.
Where do art ideas come from?
Well, thank you for asking. It's mysterious, isn't it? I have a really interesting answer to this from my 9-year-old friend, Evie. She says, I have a world inside my head. I build the world, but it's like I live in a different place. I live in a castle. All my memories are in the books in the castle. And sometimes a new book just appears and I flip through the book and I find a new idea. Isn't that great? It's amazing. Anyway, but to me, art is personal. It's like all blood and guts underneath. Now, Picasso is quoted as saying, I put into my pictures everything I love. And I would expand that. I make art of what worries me. I make art out of what makes me laugh, what scares me, what pisses me off. I even make art out of stuff I actively dislike. I've made art about stuff so embarrassing, I can barely talk about it. I've made art about vomit. I hate guns, and I hate motorcycles, and I hate helicopters. Well, you find all those things in this show. The older I get, the more I realize that nothing is off limits. If it's there, I can make art out of it. Who has a note that says fear?
That would be me.
Let's hear it.
So, what scares you?
Oh, well, I was always scared of fire. The farmhouse where I grew up caught fire several times, like the back stairs, somebody leaves a towel on top of the heater, and then the kitchen one time. And then, not to mention, forest fires are so scary. And sometimes it feels like the whole world is going to blow up. You see or it's going to burn up. You see the fire globe there, and there's a fire island down there too. Now, that title of the fire globe in the window is from that Robert Frost poem. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. And who has a note that says ice?
So what makes you mad?
Well, the same things that are making all of us mad. Guns, war, clear-cutting, queer phobia, injustice, genocide, white male supremacy, strip mining, oil, landmines, clear-cutting, plastic, corruption, autocracy, fascism, ICE. Yep, it's worrisome, all right. Though my nice little life hasn't changed much yet. This is from my artist statement. But through the transparent walls of my tiny, safe bubble, I can see the warplanes out there, the rising water, the rubble, the threats. War won't bring peace. The oligarchs suggest cake, but of course there is no cake. I'm still constructing globes, islands, villages, trees. Still using tin, maps, old rhinestone jewelry. But now the world is on fire, or soon to be underwater, or worse. Who has a note that says tea?
Why the teacups?
Oh, good question, good question. I kind of love teacups as sort of a symbol for sweet daily life. What's so comforting is a cup of tea with a friend. I love that. Besides, I'm Canadian and we take tea seriously. Some of my teacups hold these pretty little houses in bubbles, and some of them I send to the doom side and fill them with my version of fabricated bombs. The thing is, how safe, how realistic is the fragile world of tea and cookies? In my studio, I bring war imagery over from the doom side and decorate it with doll eyes, old typewriter parts, rusted chainsaw blades, rhinestones. I put frilly beaded dresses on guns. It's like I'm making fun of them. I've always been too small to have any faith in my power to change anything. I can only tell stories about it. No way of expecting anything to change if you won't look at it. Oh, you want to hear my polka dot song? I am a polka dot. I know no one who's not. That's it. Who's got the note that says recycle?
Where do you get these materials?
Oh, well, for a lot of what I make, I use cookie tins from like thrift stores. Then I take my tin scrap to the metal recycling place in Shelton. And they let me scrounge around and pick up all this horrible old rusty stuff that's been getting run over by trucks. It's really disgusting, but really cool. And then there's this typewriter repair shop in Bremerton, which those of you who make art should know this. The guy gives away old typewriters after he's stripped them of everything he doesn't want. So if you've ever taken apart an old typewriter, it is really something. They got, like Anne has done 1 million of those all afternoon. One little teeny weeny screw after another. Wow, how they put these things together. Anyway, who's got the note that says paranoia? Oh,
What is the story behind the paranoid survivalist camp?
yes. Well, thank you, Esther. Thanks for asking that. The whole title for this piece is Paranoid Survivalist Camp in Eden, Is It? There's is it and question marks written around the bottom. I mean, is it paranoia or is it Eden? I mean, my tiny life is apparently perfect. My house in the woods, all that. But how permeable is the bubble I'm living in? Is somebody going to come after me eventually for being a queer lefty immigrant type? It didn't occur to me till the other day that this piece could be dedicated to Alex. My neighbor Alex on Harstein Island was one of the most lovable, brilliant, and frightened people I've ever known. His paranoias drove him to buy guns and do lots of target practice. He had a stockpile of dried foods, a shipping container full of ammo. Maybe it wasn't exactly paranoia since he was half Haitian in a white majority MAGA-leaning county. And in the middle of that George Floyd year, he used one of those guns to kill himself. So he was kind of living in a survivalist bubble inside the lovely bubble of our corner of Harstein Island in the middle of conservative MAGA country. So it's kind of like the piece next to it, which is called Outside the Inside. Layers of apparent safety and scary totalitarian threat. Bubbles inside bubbles inside bubbles. So who's got the note that says the news?
How do you deal with all the news these days? Or do you?
Yes, big question for everybody I know. We all have our ways of dealing with the news. Some of my friends just cannot bear to hear one word of the news. And some are all in all the time. I tend to listen to a lot of podcasts. I think I can stand it because I have a pass-through system. I mean, I hear it all, and it's horrifying, but it doesn't get stuck in there because anything that goes in comes out in some form of art. The thing is, horrifying stuff exists in the world and always has, whether or not we think we can tolerate it. It's no good pretending it's not there. In fact, it's always been our lifelong job to deal with the mix of the gruesome and the beautiful that life presents. Who has the note that says upstairs?
Can we please change the subject?
Okay, she wants to change the subject. Okay, we'll go upstairs now. The other half. Anyway, see, these are protest signs, right? So you see, you are living in your nice little bubble in the forest. But that doesn't mean you won't go to the No Kings March. I started out thinking about a grid of shapes like a quilt. But then I wanted to make a floor quilt instead of a bed quilt or a wall quilt. But I didn't want the whole piece to live at floor level, so I put the globes on risers. So that made them all into globes. You might not notice that. I've made globes for as long as I've made art. When I was a kid, they said the world is round, and I thought, okay, that makes sense. But I thought round like a plate. It was later that I found out that they meant round like an orange. Oh. But then what is on the inside? Is it all like a big ball of water and the islands and continents are like boats teetering around on the surface? And wouldn't that mean that if you waded out too far from shore, you would fall over a drop-off and maybe get sucked in under the island? But actually the oceans are like a big interconnected puddle sloshing around on the surface of whatever the inside middle is made out of. Who has a note that says no worries?
We know a lot about what worries you. What makes you laugh?
Yeah, sometimes I make stuff just because I love it or it makes me laugh. Right around here to the corner. Come this way. I really like dogs, and I do think they're hilarious. Anyway, this is the thing I wrote called the Ode to the Dog. I know they bark, they ignore or reframe the rules. They don't like the leash or the car or firecrackers. They pee on the rug. They have fleas. They roll in dead stuff. They eat pizza when your back is turned. They bother the cat. They are sometimes rude to your friends. They can be a little bit bad, but so personable, companionable, so amusing, so full of life and willing to please. Surely it's love. And I'm reading this in honor of two recently deceased dogs, friends of mine, Latka and Yuki, who, by the way, did not have any of those bad qualities. And of course, I love trees. Sometimes I think that evolution should have stopped at trees. The whole system after that is about things eating each other. It's so mean. Evolution should certainly never have gotten as far as people. Oh well. I wonder if the world is surprised at where evolution has led. Who would have thought that something as potentially beautiful and brilliant as human beings could turn against the very ingredients of our own existence? Each of us has just borrowed a set of molecules from the universe's available supply, and we will need to give it all back one of these days, like returning a book to the library. So how do we manage to see ourselves as not part of the world? We are made out of exactly the same stuff. And who has a note that says cake?
I do. Why did you say the cakes are like the teacups?
Yes. Interesting question. It's a little bit like the teacups, the cakes. See these three cakes? There's something nice about a cake, and yet it's a vehicle to talk about oligarchy. Also, if you notice, fire, flood, and notice the blood icing, and the protesters. See these protesters? They're cute, huh? See, and by the way, this is my favorite piece in the show. I love this cake. And here's the cake with the bubble inside it with a nice little village, and then outside it you can see all the horrible stuff happening. But here's the little story that goes along with the cakes. Why should this be any of my concern? Says the king to his sycophantic billionaire lords-in-waiting. He glances puzzled at the protesters outside the gates. No bread, you say? Why not eat cake? Mr. King, sir, your excellency, there is no cake. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Oh, now who has the note that says WTF?
Could you just have said, please be quiet? Isn't shut up kind of rude?
Well, nowhere near as rude as a leaf blower or a helicopter. But nobody seems to know this, but the soundscape is a commons, like air, like water. You can't just dump mercury into the river, so can't we have some agreements about noise pollution too? Once in a while, couldn't we just have a day off helicopters and leaf blowers, trucks and dirt bikes and lawnmowers and planes and target practice? Now, you see, a lot of the problem is the motor. These things need an alternative power source. So you see this piece here? This used to be a VW, a Barbie VW, by the way, before it became a Dragon. You see, Dragon energy, no motor, hence quiet. I like to get up a couple of hours before dawn so I can sit in my thinking spot in the woods for a couple of hours while the planes and helicopters are still at home in their pajamas, eating their Cheerios and drinking coffee to rev themselves up for the day's noise. Who has 77?
Aren't you getting kind of old for all this?
That's what my 5-year-old neighbor used to say. She said, "You are really old, but you make really nice art." Yeah, I'm not done yet. I'm getting Social Security the last 7 years, which I think of as my monthly art grant. or maybe my first regular paycheck. I can make whatever I want to make, saleable or not. Huge freedom. I want to do exhibits, but I don't need to do art festivals anymore. But it was never all about the commercial transactions anyway. Even though I've been self-employed, doing art of some kind or other since 1978, it was always a lot more than an income. Now, compared to a lot of venues, there's quite a bit of scope for invention in the retail art festival business, as long as you don't go too crazy. There are things people at art festivals can't stand. Dragons, yes. Snakes, no. Blue, yes. Green, no. 3 arms, maybe. 3 heads, no. Do not mess with the head. Plus, no blood and guts and no political commentary. Strange, isn't it? Because TV, right in the living room. See, art is just really just a long, drawn-out conversation, and that hasn't changed. I still want to have that conversation. Don't we all? Oh, now who's got the note that says next?
What are you working on next?
Do you know why artists are the easiest people in the world to talk to? All you have to do is say to them, so what are you working on these days, right? So that is my favorite question. Thank you so much for asking.
I saved the best one.
In about, now, oh yes, okay. In about December, I started making this piece. Hold this for a minute, please. Hold this for a minute, please. That was like an island with trees on it. This is the tree. I know it looks like a cactus, but I've gotten used to that. It's a tree. Okay, and there's protesters on the tops of the tree. And there's also some water and some grass and some clouds. And, you know, the signs say stuff like, war is murder, or there is no cake, or where is that cake? So the whole thing sits on shelf brackets up against the wall and extends out about a foot and drips water off the edge because it's an island. So I started off with 3 or 4 trees, which took about a month. And I looked at it and I thought, there is something the matter with this thing. And it just seemed so wrong. And then I thought, maybe it's just not big enough. So I added another 4-foot segment, which made it 8 feet long. Then I started to get used to it. I was really into the protesters on the tree branches. I wanted to make a lot of them. So I added on another section, so it was 12 feet long. And I added some cakes, kind of like this. Oh, there's another, and some shrubs. This is one of the shrubs. Here, could you hold the cake for me? And then, by then it was starting to really be fun, and I didn't ever want to be not making it. So I added on another section, so it's about 16 feet long now. I think that's it though, because it's really going to take the rest of my life to finish it. It needs about 1 million text strips like that. So just like, see that shut up piece over there? See the text strips down on the bottom?
It's like a dress.
Yeah, it's endless. So the text strips will be like water all around the island. And this is actually where I stopped because this business with the strips is like almost tedious. Can I hand this off to you? Thank you. Who's got the note that says more?
Hasn't anybody ever told you less is more?
Well, this will surprise you, but I hear that a lot. Sometimes people try to tell me that less is more, and maybe it is. My nephew James says, you should always be asking, what could this piece do without? What could I take away? Probably really insightful. But I'm always saying, gee, what else could I put on this piece? I might be the polar opposite of less is more. But I'm actually a minimalist in lots of ways. If you've ever been to my house, you will just laugh your head off at this. Because when you worked with found junk, you never throw it at anything else. You never throw at anything because you never know when you're going to need it. And I work on a lot of things at the same time, so it's huge chaos. But on the other hand, I don't need a dining room. I need studio space. And I sleep outside. Why waste perfectly good studio space on a bedroom? Anyway, you can see how I'm sort of a hoarder and sort of a minimalist. Plus, I love solitude, but I adore my friends. I love detail, but I'm not meticulous. I break rules, but I honor agreements. I insist on freedom, and I insist on social responsibility. I love being alive, and I'm looking forward to being dead. This is not the world I want to be alive in, and this is exactly the world I want to be alive in. Now, who's got the note that says glass?
So, is the glass half full or half empty?
It's both. You don't want to go around ignoring what's happening in Iran, Gaza, Sudan, Minneapolis. You don't want to ignore the oligarchical forces that are trying to bring back Jim Crow and send women's rights back to the 1800s. But you don't want to forget how the trees hold hands underground and provide shelter for the chickadees. You don't want to forget that we love each other and that we live on a beautiful green dot in space and that we have a voice. Now, are there any free range questions?
Would you sing your song again?
Oh, all right. Want to hear my polka dot song again?
Yes.
I am a polka dot. I know no one is not. That's it.